Right now, Wisconsin's primary election will be held today. What you need to know about last-minute changes to how you can vote.
Plus, we're looking at the latest numbers overnight behind the coronavirus as the number of deaths in the United States passes 10,000.
And we're starting with some fog this morning across southern Wisconsin, but looking ahead to high temperatures near 70 degrees. The full forecast is coming up.
This is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning, folks. Happy Tuesday. Thanks for joining us on this election day. It is April 7th.
There is a lot to talk about this morning. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster over the past 24 hours. A lot of last-minute changes and up-to-the-minute information about the election. So let's get right to our Josh Spreiter, who is downtown with the very latest. Josh.
Good morning, Susan. Good morning, Leah. Yeah, we're live in downtown Madison near the state capitol today as Wisconsin will still have their spring primary despite the governor's efforts to push that back yesterday. It all started with an executive order to try and postpone that in-person voting until June, but that was unsuccessful. But the Supreme Court ruled in a 4-2 decision that the governor does not have the authority to do that. Later in the day, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in favor of state Republicans, blocking a lower court order which would have granted voters an additional 6 days to mail in absentee ballots. That means all absentee ballots must now be postmarked by today in order to be counted. Governor Evers now says Wisconsinites will have to decide whether to exercise their right to vote or stay healthy and safe. He says, quote, "In this time of historic crisis, it is a shame that 2 branches of government in this state chose to pass the buck instead of taking responsibility for the health and safety of the people we were elected to serve." The majority party leaders in the state legislature applauded the Wisconsin Supreme Court's ruling on moving the election. In a joint statement, Assembly Speaker Robin Vos and Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald says the ruling affirmed the separation of powers in the Constitution. The leaders also released a statement on the absentee ballot ruling, saying the United States Supreme Court's ruling addresses their concerns over ballot security.
Josh, thank you. We spoke with some UW-Madison professors to get their perspective on all of this confusion surrounding today's election. Journalism professor Michael Wagner tells us he's concerned about all of the changes for voters and bigger inequalities in terms of minority populations getting out to vote. Political science professor Howard Schwaber says he's surprised to see the push to keep the election today by those in power.
They are taking the coronavirus seriously and conceive of it as an actual, genuine threat to public health. Then they're embracing a message that essentially says your vote or your life, or your vote or your health, which is a level of cold-blooded cynicism that I don't think we've seen in American politics.
Strong words there. A new study says coronavirus could peak in Wisconsin as soon as next week. The Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation released the new data Monday, saying we could see that peak by April 15th. The center originally estimated cases wouldn't peak until the end of May. Authors say that new date might mean Wisconsin isn't flattening the curve as effectively as previously thought. Now, this follows new information from the DHS, counting 83 deaths due to COVID-19 this morning. There are more than 2,500 confirmed cases right now. 16 counties have reported deaths, including Columbia County, where health officials reported their first death just yesterday. 2 more people have died in Dane County over the last 24 hours, bringing the total here to 11.
When the numbers increase, it is easy to think of this pandemic in terms of graphs and the numbers on our web pages. But we need to remember that each number represents a person, a friend or family member, a neighbor or a coworker. When we each do our part to flatten the curve through physical distancing and staying safer at home, we are doing our part to keep ourselves and others healthy and safe.
There are currently 12 active labs running coronavirus tests in Wisconsin, bringing the daily lab capacity to more than 3,500 tests. Despite that increase, folks with severe illnesses and healthcare workers are still being prioritized.
Across the United States, there have been more than 1,000 COVID-19 related deaths per day since the start of this month, according to the Department of Veteran Affairs. The pandemic now has a higher death toll than 6 U.S. wars combined. The Revolutionary Revolutionary War, War of 1812, the Mexican War, Indian Wars, Spanish-American War, and Desert Storm have a combined death total just over 9,900. So far, nearly 10,800 Americans have lost their lives to complications from the coronavirus. New data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention show that COVID-19 cases for children are mostly mild and rarely fatal. The CDC looked at 150,000 confirmed cases between February 12th and April 2nd. Of those cases, roughly 2% of them were children, and of those cases, only 3 of the young patients died. But most only displayed mild symptoms, such as a fever or shortness of breath. The children infected also had a lower hospitalization rate, about 1 in 5, compared to adults, which is about 1 in 3.
All right, 6:05 your time now. Miss Hattie McLean is here with quite a foggy Tuesday. Hey, Hattie. 6:07 now. Testing for the coronavirus is now available for all 10 million residents of Los Angeles County out in California. LA Mayor Eric Garcetti made that announcement on Monday, saying there will no longer be limits on who can be tested. However, that doesn't mean they immediately have tests for everyone in that county. Previously, those who were over the age of 65, have an underlying medical condition, or a weakened immune system were the only ones eligible for testing. New this morning, the New York Police Department says nearly 7,000 officers, more than 19% of that force, are now sick. The number of cases within the department is up 1.3% since Friday. So far, more than 1,900 officers and nearly 300 civilian employees have tested positive for the virus. More than 10 NYPD employees have now died.
Also new this morning, a task force from the American Thoracic Society in New York says they are temporarily endorsing the use of hydroxychloroquine for hospitalized patients with coronavirus and severe pneumonia. The New York Daily News says the group is emphasizing this recommendation only applies to patients in severe condition. The endorsement also only applies in instances where the patient can be informed of the drug's possibly lethal side effects. Meanwhile, hospitals in Sweden are putting an end to their use of hydroxychloroquine's predecessor, chloroquine, after reports of severe side effects. Newsweek says the hospitals made the decision after patients who were given the anti-malarial drug reported symptoms like cramps and a loss of peripheral vision. Both chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine have received praise from President Trump as possible treatments for the coronavirus with, quote, very encouraging early results. However, members of the medical and scientific communities cannot reach conclusive answers about whether the two drugs are effective in treating the virus.
An update now. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is in the ICU this morning to receive treatment for COVID-19. The 55-year-old was first admitted to the London hospital on Sunday for what he said were just routine tests. Now, medical experts say the Prime Minister is, quote, extremely sick and will likely need to be placed on a ventilator. This comes after reports Johnson would need oxygen treatment because he was struggling to breathe. Johnson still remains in charge of the government as of now, and lawmakers say there is no plan B if he can't continue to lead due to the illness. The country's first Secretary of State would need to be deputized, but that would only be a temporary measure. The country's constitution currently has no clear answer on how to proceed.
Some reassuring news this morning out of southern Europe. Italy and Spain are reporting a decrease in the number of deaths in their countries. Italy recorded its lowest daily death toll in 2 weeks, and in Spain, the number of deaths there has fallen for a 4th consecutive day.
We're following some breaking news overnight as Japan is now under a state of emergency due to the coronavirus pandemic. That order came in just over an hour ago now as the country struggles to contain the spreading virus. The Japanese Prime Minister says only basic economic activity will be allowed to continue there, including in Tokyo. The state of emergency is expected to last for 1 month. This declaration comes as Japan reports more than 250 more cases of COVID-19, bringing the national number of cases above of 4,600. 11 minutes past 6 o'clock on this Tuesday morning, and still ahead for us, we'll tell you how one of the nation's largest grocery store chains is working to help prevent the spread of the virus.
And one stimulus check is already on its way to you this morning, but it might not be the only one you get. The president's latest comments on relieving economic stress coming up after the break.
We're so happy to have you with us on this Tuesday morning, everybody. It's 6:11. We'll be right back after a quick break.
Good morning, everyone. It's about 6:15 on this Tuesday, and we're coming to you live from downtown Madison today, as today is the spring election here in Wisconsin, and it's still on despite many efforts to try and delay it, especially yesterday. And breaking here within the last 15 minutes or so, we do have some protesters beginning to gather in the way of a caravan of vehicles, and they're circling the city-county building. Right now, they're on the other side. We'd show it to you. Hopefully, they'll be around here during this report. But basically, they came up to me and they said they're trying to issue or trying to get the DHS Secretary Andrea Palm to issue a health order to try and delay today's election. You can see them coming around right now onto Martin Luther King Boulevard. They've got signs on their vehicles. There's been a lot of honking, a lot of vocal people very upset that today's in-person voting is still happening despite the coronavirus pandemic today. So this will be interesting. We've seen many cars just starting to gather within the last 15 minutes or so. You can see kind of this pilot car out front leading it all. Obviously a lot of reaction, a lot of emotion with this today as people are being told to stay home, yet we're still asked to vote today. So we'll continue following this developing story, and of course our coverage is just beginning here, but we'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Josh Breiter anchoring live from downtown with the very latest. All right, millions of Americans are anticipating a stimulus relief check from the government over the next 2 weeks, but it might not be a one-time payment after all. President Trump now says he's seriously considering a second round of direct payments to Americans in hopes of limiting economic fallout from the pandemic. Starting today, all Starbucks employees will be required to wear face coverings while they're on the job. The company says they have provided instructions to employees on how to make their own face masks with supplies available in the stores if they don't have their own. The company is also working to stock up on thermometers. Once those supplies become available, employees will have the option to check their temperature regularly. Starbucks is currently only open for drive-through and delivery where available.
Grocery store chains around the country are taking on new measures now to help prevent the spread of the virus. Kroger says it is enacting a new policy to promote physical distance among its customers. Starting today, all stores owned by Kroger, which include Pick and Save stores, will be limited to 50% occupancy to make sure that shoppers have enough space for adequate social distancing. The company says it is also testing other safety measures, including encouraging employees to wear masks and gloves. Wellness checks for employees will be made, and one-way aisles will happen in some supermarkets. Two insurers, Allstate and American Family Insurance, say they will give back about $800 million to their auto insurance customers because people are driving a lot less during this coronavirus crisis. Allstate says it will refund about 15% of premiums paid by its customers in April and May, and American Family said it will give back $50 per car that a household has insured with the company via a one-time payment.
6:18 your time now. Normally the time Hattie's giving us a peek of the sunrise. Not much of one today, Hattie.
You know it's April in Wisconsin when it's 70 one day and 40 the next.
Right.
We're used to that. But this is like a gift today, though, so everybody should take advantage of it.
Enjoy
nice
it.
and warm today. All right, Hattie, thank you.
6:19 now. The coronavirus is causing many events to be canceled, but it's not stopping a Wisconsin woman from celebrating her 100th birthday.
This is so sweet. Friends and family showed their support for Geraldine Jerry Olson, and they made sure to keep their distance to keep her safe. Over the weekend, dozens of members of her community drove their cars past Jerry's house to wish her a happy birthday. Everyone wanted to give Jerry the birthday she truly deserves and show how much she is loved. Jerry's family says they originally planned a different celebration, probably, of course, but these are unusual times, to say the least, and that celebration is on hold for now. They hope to have another party for Jerry once the social distancing ends.
Hey, you do what you gotta do,
That's
right?
Exactly right.
Hey, and while you're self-isolating today at home, put down the cleaning supplies. Here's a national holiday we think is worth celebrating, especially right now. Today is National No Housework Day, so give that laundry a break and leave the dishes in the sink. It's always easier said than done for me, especially being OCD, but maybe there are people out there that can do it.
I was going to say, Josh, you're so clean. Susan is also very clean. I'm going to let my fiance do all that work today. I'm all right.
I'm okay leaving them in the sink.
All right, it's 20 minutes past 6 o'clock right now, and just ahead for us, we're going to have the winner of yesterday's Safer at Home Challenge and also give you a look at what's ahead for today's challenge. That's coming up.
And then coming up in our next half hour, it is Election Day across our state. We're taking a look at the names you'll see on the ballot and what you need to know before you head to the polls this morning.
Stay with us, folks. News 3 Now this morning continues after the break.
Welcome back, 6:24 on this Tuesday morning, and time to take a look at some of the entries from yesterday's Safer at Home Challenge. Each day we're giving you a challenge to give you a little extra something to do with all of this extra time you have at home. So yesterday we asked you for the best family game night, and here are a few of our favorites.
That's right. Our first runner-up is this giant puzzle. There's not much done yet, but they've got the edges down, so they're off to a great start. They've also organized the pieces. Love that, the way that they're putting that puzzle together.
Yes, this is my kind of family. You got to do the edge first, right? There has to be a strategy to this. And here's this morning's winner. This is a great idea. It's a family trivia night held on Zoom. Definitely a creative way to see your whole family and stay in touch while having a lot of fun.
So we have decided we're doing a News 3 This Morning family night with Euchre over Zoom.
Yes.
Josh is in. We got to teach him how to play, Josh.
Deal. I'm totally in.
All right. Well, congrats to today's winner. We're going to be sending you a gift card to a local business.
And now here's tomorrow's challenge. We are asking you to draw a picture of the first thing that you want to do when social distancing ends.
Oh, it's fun to just think about that, isn't it? I can't wait to see your drawings tomorrow. What's the first thing you're going to do, Leah?
Polka dance, maybe?
Polka dance?
I'm in the mood for dancing after we watched that World War II vet.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you. Be sure to head to our website, channel3000.com/safe-at-home. You can upload your photos there, send in your submissions, and get all the information on the upcoming challenge. And thanks, everybody, for participating. We're really enjoying this.
We've had so much fun with these.
That's right. Well, a little peek at the weather.